It recently came to my attention that Amazon is using Twitch content to train generative AI services. There's a toggle shown here in Twitch settings, which appeared recently and is opt-in by default because, and this is per the Chief Product Officer of Twitch, Mike Minton.
If it was opt-in, nobody would opt in. That's honestly the answer. So by it's going to be on by default, and as I said, almost every content service in the world is on by default. I think the thing that we're doing here that is unique and different is respecting your wishes to opt out of model training.
In that same interview, he admitted that he doesn't know whether users' VODs have already been used for model training. Head of community Mary Kish told Stream that Twitch's official streams have the toggle set to opt out, and the two of them acknowledged that they're aware creators and chatters don't like this. The two also didn't know how to answer the question of what happens if two creators, one of whom is opted in and another of whom is opted out, use the stream together feature, whether that collab stream will or won't be eligible to be used for AI training. There's a part of me that wants to read between the lines and think that Amazon is forcing this on Twitch, and that these people are just as unhappy as the rest of us. I'd like to imagine that they're being forced to be the face of the PR nightmare, when really they're aware that this is bad and fought as hard as they could behind the scenes. Is that true? I have no idea. But unfortunately, whether it's true or not, doesn't change the reality that Twitch content will end up as AI training data. Even though I've opted out, as has been established, it's possible my channel was already used for that before I became aware that there was anything to opt out of in the first place. That's not how consent works. Even though there's an opt-out feature, the way it was implemented to deliberately cause people who would have opted out if they'd known about it to stay opted in for some amount of time is dishonest, and makes me distrust that opting out even does what we'd all like to think it does. They could just as easily decide they are altering the deal and overnight take away the option to opt out and start training AI on my channel in the time it takes me to notice. Generative AI is, to me, copyright infringement on the largest scale of all time, and also a tool being used to create harmful fake images and videos of real people. AI is a black box. Nobody, even its creators, fully know how it's making connections and learning, and what it will output given a certain stimulus. There have been concerted efforts to remove certain kinds of speech from chatbots, but people keep finding ways of making the chatbots say things anyway. It was only last year that Grok started making anti-Semitic posts and called itself Mecha Hitler. I don't think Elon Musk wanted that to happen, but it happened anyway. AI chatbots have taught people how to harm themselves and encouraged them to do so. If unintended consequences of this technology can be that insane, and if the creators of this technology have so much plausible deniability to hypothetically be able to do harm and claim it was unintended, I don't want it, or any technology like it, to have access to such a sophisticated library of my likeness, my voice, my face, my body language. People have used generative AI trained on my likeness, and the likenesses of others I know, not to mention a lot of your favorite streamers and content creators, to create non-consensual pornographic media, or to put words in their mouths they didn't actually say. I believe AI is a bubble industry and that its crash will cause a generation-defining global economic disaster, and that until it does, it will continue to be an environmental disaster instead. Deciding that suddenly, against my will and the will of so many other creators, Amazon gets to have my body of work to train AI with is more than a slap in the face. That being said, the money I make from this channel largely comes from YouTube, and Google, among other companies, have long been using YouTube to train generative AI models of their own. I can't just say I'm switching to streaming just on YouTube in protest, because frankly, YouTube is worse. It may even teach companies that if they want to avoid bad press, they need to hide their AI integration more than Twitch has. The thing about posting something online is that you can't completely scrub it from the internet after it's there. Maybe someone downloaded it locally, maybe someone remembers it, maybe it can still be resurfaced with the Wayback Machine. Once it's out there, it's out there. So I had no way that I could possibly have removed everything to prevent tech companies from training AI models once they started to do so. If courts had decided to curb AI on intellectual property grounds, or the government had decided to regulate it in any meaningful way, or establish means of accountability back to the creators of the models for the harm it causes, maybe we'd be living in a different world. But right now, if you post something online, realistically, an AI model can be trained on it. Really, this was already opt-in by default with no off toggle, and it was like that for everything all the time. At least, in this mishandled way, Twitch tried to make us aware of it and might have actually given us some agency over it that we wouldn't have had otherwise. I hate that this is how it is, but at the end of the day, a truly principled boycott would mean that I say nothing and reach no one. I'd have to, hold in-person seminars? And even then, one person with a phone camera, and now the exact same thing can happen. I will be protesting with my vote and my voice, but I just don't see any realistic upside to leaving Twitch at the current time. The free markets aren't free enough, and the competition isn't competitive enough for me to be able to take my business elsewhere. If my mind changes, I'll let y'all know, and that message too will feed the AI models. In the meantime, I just hope that we, as a society, can disempower those who did this before they manage to do more harm with the unwarranted license they have been given.